Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Sports Frenzy podcast. Phil Penarski here, joined once again by our News 8 sports correspondents, Dean Holzwarth and Andy McDonald. We're going to change things up a little bit and talk about a sport that we really haven't talked a lot about so far this year, and that being hockey, and more specifically, the Detroit Red Wings, who are starting the season hot. They are 7-3 to kick off the year. Guys, let's jump straight into the conversation. I mean, safe to say after this hot start that the fears maybe surrounding this team going into the year are kind of subsided now, or are we still kind of maybe waiting to see a little bit further before we make that justification?
I mean, I'm definitely still waiting for longer, I guess, to answer that question. It's not like I'm fully confident this team is all of a sudden just going to take off and win the Stanley Cup or anything crazy like that. But yeah, I mean, 7-10 or 7-3 is definitely a good start through your first 10 games. And the young guys have looked pretty good. Nygaard did just get sent down to the Griffins, but he had a good attitude about it. But Emmett Finney's really been the story so far in that first line. Obviously, Dylan Larkin's been playing great through his first bunch of games. I think he's had a point in almost every game, if not every game. And I think he has 6 or 7 goals in the young year. So he's been phenomenal and been pushing that line to really get going, and playing with Lucas Raymond and Dylan Larkin definitely will help out a rookie like that. But still, the smart plays he's been able to make to help that first line get some points has been good. Obviously, they've been missing Patrick Kane, but DeBrincat's kind of picked up the slack the last couple of games. He's been able to get a couple goals, and they're just firing on all cylinders. The power play is good like it was last year. The biggest difference is their power kill, their penalty kill, has been better than it was in past years. Like last year, it was one of the worst in the league. This year, it took I think it was the first 4 or 5 games before anybody got a goal against them. So overall, they're just gelling a lot better. Some of the additions that they made, like Mason Appleton, he's been great so far, and then add to this team, had a couple of key goals in some games that they needed. So it's early. These guys have still got to keep it going. I mean, for me, it's going to be more like the 20, 25 game mark before I'm really ready to say they'll probably make the playoffs or won't make the playoffs, I guess. But either way, it's not going to really feel the same until March because of the way the last 3 years have went. But you got to love the start that you're seeing with this team for sure.
Yeah, definitely. After that first game, I was a little bit concerned, talked about playing, to not lose or whatever the case was after that first game. But a couple of their losses have been ugly, but, they be able to bounce back from those and play very well. I think the start has kind of proved that, or shown that there's this, I don't know if Andy agrees with this toughness to this team, right? A little resiliency and just kind of the ability to, produce goals and play good defense and just do what it takes to win. Dylan Larkin obviously has been playing great, and the young guys, like Andy said, have been playing well too. So, just a great start by the Wings, and obviously it brings a lot of optimism going forward.
Well, you both touched on Dylan Larkin. I mean, he's got 8 goals and 8 assists already through these first 10 games. I mean, it's great seeing him play this well, but, I mean, is there maybe somebody else on the Red Wings that you want to kind of give some love to, or who has been really playing out of their mind to start this season and really kind of propelling them to that 7-3 start?
I mean, Patrick Kane did start great. I mean, he was excellent out of the gate. Obviously, the injury has slowed him down a lot, but he's still a key part of this team and looks like he's playing. I mean, his hands and feet look like they're under him again. Looks probably the healthiest he's been since he's been here, so that's great. But yeah, no, I mean, I would say overall, other than that, Emmett Finney, who I already kind of mentioned, I mean, he's been able to get a couple of goals and do a really good job on that first line of keeping things moving for them. Lucas Raymond's been good in his limited time, and then Alex DeBrincat's kind of picked it up too. So it really feels like it's more of a team effort than just one guy kind of going off or anything. But Cam Talbot also, as far as goaltending goes, he was huge in the first 5-6 games when they had that bad first game with John Gibson. He came in and I think he started the next 4 games, and that's when they went on that winning streak. So he played really, really well when they have needed him to. So far, the moves that Steve has made at the NHL level have been, helpful and productive at this point. So it's been good. But I think the most impressive thing for me, it's hard to not say it's Dylan Larkin. So I mean, I think he's just been the guy. When he's been out there, this team has been so much better. You can sense that he's playing and feels like this team is good enough to make the playoffs. So it really feels like he's given it. If you guys watched him on Team USA last year, that effort that he gave in those couple of games that he played in, I feel like that's the kind of effort he's given out there every single week, and it's been impressive. And I think the other X factor, I guess, that hasn't been mentioned maybe is Todd McClellan. So I think he's been phenomenal as a head coach so far. The 2 losses that they had back to back, it feels like after they went 4-1, that's the kind of thing that would drag the Wings down in the past. And the fact that they were able to have that 4-goal comeback the other night, they were down 4-0. I think that Todd McClellan is the one who probably deserves the most credit outside of Dylan Larkin, honestly, and he's not even on the ice. It's been phenomenal. He's been able to do with this group so far.
Yeah, kind of same thing. Finney, obviously Patrick Kane, like just been a collection of guys who have really stepped up and played really, really well so far. I'm just curious now if we can find some consistency in this team, moving forward. Just, continuing to play well and kind of stack those wins, and you're going to have a loss here and there. But yeah, it's going to take all these guys kind of working together to kind of get them to where they want to be this year.
Yeah, like you said, consistency. Because the thing with the Wings is they haven't had that at all the past 3 years. Like they'll get really hot, like for a long time, and look like one of the best teams in the NHL, and they just completely fall off a cliff. I think the biggest sign of that may be changing to start this year because this is Todd McLellan's first full year with this group, and he's been able to work with them through the offseason. And I just think after losing the Sabres, who are not a good team, they've been injured and beat up. They come out and lose the Islanders 7-2, and you're thinking to yourself like, here we go again. Like this is just going to be the same thing. And instead, when they go down 4-0 in that game, Tom McLellan calls a timeout, and everything just changes. They come back, they win the game, and now they went in the streak where they beat the Blues back-to-back, games. So, and they have the Kings tomorrow night, so we'll see how they do. But yeah, it's been really impressive to watch, and right now I think he's the man for the job because will he have enough talent to win with them? Like far enough into the season, I don't know, but I don't know if anybody could do a better job with these guys specifically. I think he's the right guy for it.
Definitely. And, I think the mindset of this team has changed a little bit. We talked about kind of how streaky they've been over the past couple of years. You lose that first game and you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be a terrible way to start the season. Bounce back, win a couple of games in a row. And again, off to that 7-3 start. It's really great to see. They are now on a 5-game road trip. They've played the first game of that. They've still got 4 more to go. Going into, I think, when they take on the Rangers next Friday, that'll be the first time they're back home in Detroit. Do we expect them to kind of keep up these winning ways? What do we think this record's going to be with these next 4 games out on the road?
I mean, that's the hope, right? Like, I think if we can go out there and win, 2 of the next 3, or is it 3 of the next 4? Or right? There's 4 more games out there?
Yep, 4 more games on the road trip.
I'd say maybe split out there, so you go, 3 and 2 on that road trip, come back home, play the Rangers. I think that would actually be, a positive sign for this team with that first West Coast road trip, especially for the young guys.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, 3 of the 4 teams aren't exactly the best in the NHL either. So with the Ducks and the Sharks and the next game against the Kings, I think those are all beatable teams for the Red Wings. Obviously, it's much easier said than done when you're traveling out west. That's always been a tough place for the Red Wings to play in history. It's really tough for any Midwest team to go out there and just like sweep a road series. So I wouldn't expect anything like that. But if you can fight in a lot of these games, at least get to overtime and get a point, I think that would say a lot. What you really want to see is less of those games where they're just getting absolutely blown out. And I think you'll start to see more consistency develop, that these guys are young players turning into NHL players, that they keep all these games more close, especially in a tough situation like that in the road.
Yep.
Well, again, great start for the Detroit Red Wings, but a team that's probably had an even better start to the season is right here in Grand Rapids. We're sticking on the hockey train with the Grand Rapids Griffins, who are now 6-0, the best start in franchise history, winning, kind of becoming contagious here in Michigan. We touched on the fact that the Red Wings were kind of that one Detroit team that was struggling a little bit, at least getting into the playoffs. We've seen the Pistons, the Lions, the Tigers do it, but now hockey kind of coming back, and it's great that the Red Wings are having all the success, but again, also really great to have it here in Grand Rapids.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, kind of feeding off of what the Whitecaps did, right? Griffins are kind of doing the same thing. So, I did go to a game a couple weeks ago, and they're doing what they need to do to win as well. They're getting good power play. They're getting, penalty kills have been good for them, obviously. And they're beating the teams that they, not necessarily should beat, but they're finding ways to win every single night. So, great start for the Griffins, and like I said, maybe they can kind of piggyback off the Whitecaps and do something special this year like they did.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's definitely been an impressive start. I mean, right now they have a couple of NHL talent players down there with Gustafsson and Hull both passing waivers. It's been pretty crazy to have that be a part of the team too. I don't think it's where many Red Wings fans expected those guys to end up, but nevertheless, they're there. And when they have that much talent, they're playing this team. It's definitely helping them out right now. But the team just seems to be gelling so well with some of the lead. Dominic Shine's done a great job leading that group so far through these first 6 games. And John Leonard, the guy they signed in the offseason, he played in the Calder Cup finals last year. He has 6 goals already on the season. He scored a big one last night to give them the lead in the 3rd period. Then they were able to go and win in the shootout. So obviously, if you're a Griffins fan and you paid attention last year, it was the same kind of thing where they had this great start, one of the better starts that they've had in franchise history as well. And then they kind of fell off as they started to lose guys in the middle of the season. So obviously something you can really do about that at this level. We've talked about that with all the sports that we cover that are at the minor league level. But I think that a lot of these guys do have a decent chance to stick around at this level this year because of how well the Red Wings are playing. And some of the guys that are on the wings, unless they get a lot of injuries, I feel like the team would have a chance to be kind of the same all the way throughout the season. So I expect this to continue for the Griffins. I think they'll be one of the better teams in their division this year, maybe win it for the first time in a while. And that would be great if they were able to do that. But yeah, they've been a lot of fun to watch so far, and I would suggest getting out to Van Andel on their next home series.
Yep. Well, and I know last year Griffins fans and the Griffins themselves were pretty upset with how the playoffs ended for them, taking on the Texas Stars and losing all those games. But beating them twice to start off the season definitely probably felt good. And I think, again, just kind of re-emphasizing how great Dan Watson is, not just with the Griffins, but really in the whole kind of scope of Grand Rapids sports. I feel like he is a guy that kind of gets it and also just enjoys being a part of the community a little bit. And the Griffins are always just a fun ticket to go to. I mean, again, can't give enough credit to Dan Watson over there.
Yeah, no, he's been great. I mean, with what he's done with the group, especially, it doesn't really matter who he's had. He's been able to get them to the playoffs, have them be competitive every single year, and the guys seem to really like playing for him. I think that they know that that's their guy, and he's going to help them get to the next level and do what they need to do. So yeah, if you ever get the chance to meet Dan, I would imagine he's the kind of guy that will give you a real conversation, no matter who you are. So yeah, he's definitely the right guy for the job down there, I think.
All right, well, the Griffins take on the Rockford Ice Hogs this weekend. They play one game in Rockford and one game here at Van Andel Arena. Do they keep the winning ways going? I mean, do we see them at least getting to 8-0 after this weekend?
Yeah. I mean,
Sure.
yeah.
Tough task for them already.
It is. All right, we're putting high expectations on them already, but they definitely can do it. They're playing well enough.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's so crazy that, I mean, their schedule, the way it worked out this year, they traveled on Monday night. They traveled Monday morning to go to Iowa to play this game. Came back right after the game last night. Said, imagine got home like really early this morning. Then they have to go back on the road this Friday. Travel all the way to Rockford to play that game, and then they have a home game back here Sunday. So yeah, if they're able to win all those games, that's pretty impressive with all that busing you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't like private jets, like they're busing to these games. So
Right.
yeah, it'd be really impressive if they're able to do that. I don't see a reason that they couldn't, other than the fact of maybe being a little fatigued by Sunday. But it would be great if they were able to and just continue to build on it. I'm sure at this point, if you're one of those players, you're like really trying to extend that streak. Now that they know, I'm sure they really weren't paying attention to it before, that it was like some record. Now that they know it, I bet they're going to keep pushing that as far as they possibly can.
Yeah.
Well, 7-1, 8-0. I mean, as long as they keep up the winning consistently,
they're in a good position for a little bit of
okay
time now. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys, well, let's switch it up a little bit and head back over to the gridiron and talk about some football, because we had a pretty big rivalry on the college level with Michigan and Michigan State taking on each other, and Michigan once again bested MSU by a score of 31-20. MSU did cover, which is, I guess, something to hang your hat on. There were some calls that went against MSU's way that a lot of fans are kind of pointing at that maybe changed the game a little bit, but really in the end, it was just too much Justice Haynes and too much Jordan Marshall. Michigan had nearly 300 yards on the ground alone, and that was really important because Bryce Underwood had a really bad time throwing, and I think they kind of just decided, well, if we're having so much success on the ground, why not just stick with it? Guys' initial reaction to that game, and I guess just the latest installment in that rivalry.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I was just going to say that, like obviously Sherman Moore, like if you're going to have success running the ball, then he's going to continue to do that, right? So, obviously Bryce didn't look good throwing it, and so they just figured that, their best, their best bet was to kind of go out and run the football with Marshall and Justice Haynes. So, for me, like I never felt the game was in jeopardy, even though it was a one-score game. I just never felt like Michigan State was going to beat Michigan, especially after the touchdown put them at 31-17. And so I don't think for Michigan State right now there's any moral victories in covering the spread, to be honest with you. So a win is a win against your rival. Okay, big brother beat little brother. So, it is what it is.
I think I don't know. I mean, I think if you're a fan of either team, watching that game probably wasn't the result that you really want. I don't know. If you think that Michigan is some great team because you watched them beat Michigan State that way, I think you're wrong. I think that's probably the worst that anybody's looked against Michigan State in the past 3-4 weeks, to be honest with you.
Right.
So I don't think really anybody should be super happy with the way that game went, and I still question a lot of the things that Sherman Moore does in game, but obviously it's like one of those things where it's like Michigan is still, up here, and you got, MSU that's way down here. So it's just like there's a difference in that, and Jonathan Smith, it's hard to say. I disagree with some people. I think I've heard a lot of takes this week where they say he didn't show any life. I think all the life was taken out of him when there was that offsides call that it wasn't an offsides.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think that that's just completely biased. So he was fired up. I mean, the camera panned over to him. He was jumping around and they were all excited. I mean, I think they thought maybe they had a real chance to like do something when that got taken away. That seemed to kind of knock the air out of him. But at the same time, as a coach, you can't let those kind of calls be the reason that you get yourself out of the game mentally. And the rest of the game, when it panned over to him, it looked like he didn't want to be there. Like it felt like he wasn't doing anything.
I think he felt defeated.
On the side, yeah, exactly.
He was wearing a head coach's costume for Halloween.
Yeah, no, for sure. And every time they show their defensive coordinator, he was over there firing him up, getting into him and stuff. It just feels like there's there's a disconnect right now with Jonathan Smith. And maybe he knows he's a dead man walking. I mean, a lot of these things happen behind the scenes when it comes to that kind of stuff. And he just didn't seem like he had this team fired up enough. I think Michigan State gave good effort. I think the players did try in this game.
Yeah.
They're just not that good, and Michigan's just a little bit better. So the game just kind of went that way. It really went the way I think that most people would have thought it would have went, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that kind of leads us into the conversation about Jonathan Smith. I don't know how you guys feel, but personally, I feel like if they were able to pull off the upset and beat Michigan, he probably would be good for the rest of this year, I would say. But fans have been asking for it. The conversation around letting Jonathan Smith go and firing him has grown as weeks and weeks have gone by. This losing streak continues. We've seen other high-profile coaches at other programs. I mean, James Franklin at Penn State, Brian Kelly recently at LSU. You had Billy Napier down in Florida. They weren't even given the full season to try and right the ship or get everything back going. The universities were just like, we're done. I mean, is it time for Jonathan Smith? Do you think he makes it to the end of the year? I mean, what is it going to take for him to either keep his job or for Michigan State to decide it's time to just say goodbye?
What? I said it 2 weeks. Was it last week I said it? Like, he's just not a good fit there.
No, right.
Okay?
No.
And no disrespect, but he's not a high-profile coach.
No.
Okay? Like, Jonathan Smith is not. And you could kind of Andy just talked about his demeanor on the sidelines at times, this and that. Like, he's trying to do the best he can for this program, but they just don't have enough talent. Okay, and I don't know why people thought State was going to be much better than last year, because if you looked at their roster, other than a couple guys that you need to see growth in, you need to see them do better, there just hasn't been there. And defensively, they're just not very good. So, I don't understand the optimism with Michigan State coming in. And, obviously that's not a lot of Jonathan Smith's fault for not being able to bring in a lot of his guys or guys he wants. But, college football right now is about winning, and if you're not winning, it doesn't matter who you are, then you're going to be gone. So I think this is his last few games, or this is his last season.
No, I guess the optimism for me was just because I thought that with Aidan Childs, the way he ended last season, he looked like he could be one of the better quarterbacks in the Big Ten this year, and he just hasn't really been that. I don't think he's been what he was expected to be either since he's come here, and it's not a fair amount of time for Jonathan Smith. It's not fair for anybody now. If you don't show up and win with the way that the world works in college football now, it isn't that way. So, yes, to answer the question, I mean, yeah, he'll probably be gone. Again, I've been saying it kind of since the start of the year. If he doesn't do well this year, you have a new athletic director. Like, he's going to probably go out and try to get his own hire, especially when the whole fan base is probably, waiting us the pitchforks or whatever with the way that people talk about this, in a hypothetical situation. But, yeah, no, it's like it just seems like anybody you talk to from Michigan State doesn't want to see him back. They don't want him to be there. And I honestly kind of expect that if it's going to be in season, it would be after this weekend because of the bye is coming up for MSU again, I believe. So if that happens, then maybe. But I don't know. I don't see a world where he makes it to next season. It'd just be unless they win out. I mean, it would put them in a difficult situation. If they beat Minnesota somehow this weekend, then do you fire them immediately after they get a win finally? That. Yeah. I feel like at that point that kind of kills anything you have going with these kids that are on the team. Not that I'm saying that I'm sure there's plenty of them that probably don't really love him either on that team right now because of the way that things are going. But I feel like it would be a bad move to just fire him if they somehow get a win. So it feels like if they win this game, then maybe he sticks around to the end of the season. Can't see him making it past that either way. No. But if they lose this game, I do think it'll be after this weekend. I really do see that happening.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you'd think that they would want to get maybe a jump start on trying to find that next head coach. I mean, there are some big names still out there. You maybe want to try and grab them before they find other jobs elsewhere. Kind of on the flip side, though, over to the Michigan side, they've got a pretty easier schedule, I guess, the remaining ways. I mean, they've got Purdue, the Northwestern, and Maryland. Maryland looking really good this year. Northwestern putting together a couple of good wins. But that's the remainder of their schedule leading into Ohio State. So big question for you guys. Do you think Michigan wins out leading into Ohio State? Are they riding a pretty long win streak going into Ohio State?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I can see it. I can see a world where that happens. Yeah, where they went out to go into it. I think that was kind of the Washington game a couple of weeks ago. That was like the big one. If Michigan won that game, it felt like they would at least have a chance to play themselves into the playoffs. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't really think I don't think there is a fourth team in the Big Ten that really is good enough to win the national championship. I think it's kind of those top three that are heavy right now. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, Michigan's won that game the past 4 years, and last year, if they won it last year, they definitely have a chance to win it this year. Even with unimpressed as I've been at their offense and everything else. So, yeah, I mean, when you're talking about Northwestern, Maryland, I guess both games are on the road, and Purdue. I can't really see a scenario where Michigan loses one of those games. If they do, it would just be a gigantic disappointment. Then you really would know the answer beforehand. But yeah, I think they'll have a chance against Ohio State at the end of the year to push their way in and maybe have a chance to win out. It's possible. Do I see it happening? No. I would have said the same thing last year. Like, there's just no, like, Michigan shouldn't have won.
You did say that last year.
Yeah, like there's I mean, everybody said it last year. There's not, like, Michigan didn't seem good enough to win that game. And listen, Bryce is a freshman. All the hype and everything, 87 yards in this game. I'm not seeing it yet, man. I mean, I know there's a lot of drop balls and everything else, but it feels like it's going to take more time, and he's going to need a lot more time to develop into a good quarterback. I think compared to what some people hope for him to just be good right out of the gate, and I don't know if that's going to come in the allotted time this season. We'll see.
Well, I think a lot of it can be, these next 3 games will be important, right? Maybe he builds some confidence, right? Maybe, maybe they start doing something different. Maybe, they start throwing the ball more against, worse teams, whatever you want to call it. So, maybe that confidence does kind of grow going into the Ohio State game. And like you said, if they can win last year, then they can, with that team, they can win with any team.
I mean, they didn't have a quarterback last year and they won the game. So it's in Ohio State's head for sure. And that's been the thing that's been working in Michigan's favor, because clearly the talent is on Ohio State's side. It's not like it's even a question. So.
And Ohio State's defense might be better than last year.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really, really good. So
they're unbelievable. I mean, every year they have. Honestly, you want to talk about a quarterback that's looked pretty good. It's a freshman. Ohio State's had a guy over there that's looked pretty good this year. So yeah, it's all going to come down to can Michigan somehow get in their head early in that game and win it. But that's a long way down the road. I think Michigan still has to get by these games, because I think at least 1 or 2 of them will be closer than people think, because their offense just hasn't been able to pull away in a lot of the games they've played in.
All right, well, time will tell there. Let's move on to the Lions now. Coming off a bye, they currently sit at 5-2, just right behind the Green Bay Packers for the top seed in the NFC North. Taking on the Vikings this Sunday, but this week marks the return of Brian Branch. I mean, the guys who were hurt maybe got a little bit of extra rest. I mean, I think this bye week came at really a perfect time for them. But focusing in on the Viking side of things, J.J. McCarthy is set to start for them again. He's coming back to Michigan. Do you feel more or less confident in the Lions taking on J.J. McCarthy versus maybe somebody like Carson Wentz?
I have less.
Really? You think J.J.?
Okay, Carson Wentz actually started okay for them, I think. But that injury, I mean, people were kind of mocking him and stuff when he was grimacing, going to the sideline and everything. That was legit. I mean, the dude's done for the year. He's going to the IR and everything else. I think that kind of says a lot about where J.J. McCarthy might be at. The fact that they were willing. I mean, people have actually kind of been on nationwide stuff today. I've been hearing a lot of stuff about them kind of ridiculing. I'm forgetting coach's name right now for the Vikings. Kevin O'Connell. Yes. They've been kind of giving him a bunch of crap, saying you really couldn't play anybody else and had to play this guy, and he was it's kind of a crazy situation with all that. But it's probably the first time he's taken any heavy criticism for anything like that in his career. But yeah, it's. I would say that Carson Wentz looked like the better quarterback when he had the time to play. I mean, really, J.J. McCarthy just had that one half against the Bears. That was good. But again, he hasn't had a fair amount of time to even show who he really can be in this league. But yeah, coming to Ford Field, one of the loudest places that a lot of people said they've played. I don't think that it's going to go well for J.J. McCarthy this weekend. That's for sure.
No, I have more. Yeah, I have more faith in the Lions beating a J.J. McCarthy-led team.
Yeah, 100%.
Than Carson Wentz. So, yeah, 100%. This is not the ideal scenario for J.J. to come back, in my opinion, right? Yeah. Lions coming off a bye week. They're healthier. Aidan Hutchinson wants to sack his good friend, former teammate.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, I think there's a lot going into this game, and I think the Lions are looking forward to now moving forward, away from the bye weeks, hopefully staying healthy, getting after JJ, kind of making him uncomfortable. I expect an easy win.
It feels like if the Lions stop the run, run, which they should be able to because most teams have been able to against Minnesota, I don't really see a way that it would go well for JJ after that. I mean, the Legion of Whom might have a little bit of trouble with the Vikings receivers. I will say that, but I just can't see a world where it's that big of a problem with that pass rush right now.
Yeah, Detroit is currently an 8.5-point favorite over Minnesota. So again, time will tell if they are. How big of a win will it be? I guess. All right, so kind of just shifting gears now a little bit to some other big news out of the Lions camp. Obviously, Aidan Hutchinson signing a 4-year extension with the team. I mean, great to know that the Lions have him kind of for the foreseeable future. $180 million with $141 million of those dollars being guaranteed, which is a record for all non-quarterbacks in NFL history. Good move to sign him pretty early, right, guys? But, I mean, as far as the money goes, I mean, any thoughts on that, or is it totally well worth it, totally worth any potential injury risk? Because I know he had the crazy injury last year, but he's had a really great start to this year, too.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. You know, like you want to lock him up. You know, he's just a guy that I think can be, you know, really, really good for, you know, a number of years, you know, and I wouldn't be surprised if Aidan Hutchinson retires as a Lion, you know, whenever he does hang him up. But for him to get locked in and obviously show him some love and appreciation with the money and understand that he is one of the best defensive tackles in the league, you know, that's what you have to do. And I think if you kind of waited, you know, Andy's talked about this. You wait to see what other guys are getting, this and that, and that might balloon a little bit. But, like, you know, right, Lions have lots of guys locked up now for big money in the next 3-4 years. So, you know, I think that they did exactly what they wanted to do as far as securing some of your top talent.
Yeah, no, I think it was the right move to make. I mean, you can look around the league and you're going to think of Micah Parsons is probably a better player, I would say. I mean, like there's maybe Myles Garrett too. You would say is probably a better defensive end. Other than that, who is it? I mean, like I don't know. He's definitely in the top 5. I think he
easily top 5. Definitely.
Like I would say, in my opinion, those two guys are better. Other than that, you're not going to get much better. And like I mean, he's not making Micah Parsons money. So at the end of the day, like I think it was a great move for the Lions to make. I think like any of the like flashback or you know what the Brad Holmes is getting right now is just because it's really close to the trade deadline, which is next Tuesday, and I think some people do want to see this team get better with another move at another position, maybe even like cornerback or something like that. I mean that's kind of where I would say the only thing you could ever critique is that it pretty much limited their pool of who they could sign for that maybe right now because of signing him, like the timing of it, but yeah, I mean, he's a game wrecker. You need, like, who else are you going to sign that you're going to like more than this guy as a defensive end? I really can't see a world where they wouldn't re-sign Aidan Hutchinson. And yeah, you can say that the Lions only re-sign their guys. They drafted well, and a lot of these guys are. You can't tell me that other people wouldn't want Aidan Hutchinson. I mean, other people would want him to be on their defensive line when they're trying to push for a Super Bowl. So, yeah, I think it was the right move. I think it was the right time to sign him. Like it was. Just do it, get it done. If the opportunity was there and you had the number put out on the table that you want and he liked it, why would you not do it? Gets it done, makes him happy. Moving on.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to go anywhere anyway. No, you know, like he's
no.
Going anywhere.
I mean, right now the Lions are so competitive every year; they're going to be in the race for it. I mean, they've built this thing the right way. They really have. I mean, that's what the benefit of signing your own guys is, because maybe they're not paying like anybody. Obviously, Jared Goff's making a lot, but it's. At the end of the day, it feels like they signed everybody for what they probably should have, and they're able to do it because they keep doing it at the right time with the cap. So I mean, it's been. I think they've done a great job at it, and I think Hutchinson was just the next part of it.
Absolutely. Well, $141 million guaranteed. Aidan, if you ever need somebody to hold a couple $100, hit my line. Love to help you out any way that I can.
For Phil?
Exactly. Please.
Yeah, for sure. I'll actually be there this weekend to cover that game. So I'll make sure that I put that word in.
Pass him along my number just in case.
No doubt. That'll be the first thing. I'm sure that's the first thing I'll think about.
Exactly. All right. Awesome stuff, guys. Thank you all so much for joining us again for another Sports Frenzy podcast. We'll see you again next week. All right, perfect.
Sweet.